Most cars couldn't do this. A Formula One racer could do this. Okay, a good sports car like an RX-7 could do this, right? A good car with good tires could probably just barely pull this corner off. Isn't that crazy? And we're talking freeway speed here, yes? That's like 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, right? So what does that tell you about most corners on most freeways? They're a lot bigger than 100 meters, aren't they? They're like 400-meter radius or something like that, yeah? They're giant. So all up and down the I-5 corridor, all curves, they don't just like take the road and just sort of turn it randomly and just go, oh, that's about good. No, no. Highway engineers have given the road, whenever it needs to curve, they've given, what are we talking about? Highway engineers have given the road a particular radius of curvature so that when you get into the curve, you set the wheel and the wheel radius of curvature doesn't change. Have you noticed that? Yeah, I'm not talking about the road to Canby, right? That's something else. That's just, they just made that go around farms for no apparent reason, right? Yeah? Okay. I'm talking about I-5. All of those curves are particular radius of curvature. I'm not talking about the 26 west to 101 south out at the coast, just before Cannon Beach. That one exit, right? It says slow down to 25, and you're going, oh, I can go faster than that. And then the curve goes, yeah, right? It's like nice curve, right? It's like, oh, okay. And there's like the tire marks. There's always tire marks that just have gone straight up over the concrete barrier or into the woods, right? You know. Okay. This is not a properly engineered corner, but they just didn't have the room or the money to fix it, right? Okay. So all up and down the I-5 corridor, there are huge curves, 400 meter, 700 meter curves, right? However gradual they can make it, but in the Terwilliger curves coming down into Portland, it's really hard to make wide curved things there. So the Terwilliger curves are the one part where you can't safely go 75 miles per hour. Every other curve, you can be safe as can be, set the cruise control for 75 miles an hour, you'll make it around the curve. Not the Terwilliger curves going into downtown, right? Yeah, it's the one place where you can't do that. All right, I got to show you this. So when I spin this thing, remember this points in the direction of the acceleration. So when I spin it, which way is the float going to go? Well, it's supposed to go toward me. Do you believe that? I know, it's like, how could it do that, right? It's like, well, but it does, right? Because, of course, the water is thrown to the outside of the curve. The water is more dense. I'm getting dizzy. All right, here we go. Stop. Good. Little applause. Bring it back down. All right, there's the acceleration. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, look at that. I got animation of the year in 2002 for that. All right. Okay, example. So what is the centripetal acceleration of a 1,200 kilogram car going 24 meters per second around an 80 meter radius corner? So we don't need the 1,200 kilograms, but we do need the 24, right? So acceleration is v squared over r. So it's 24 squared divided by 80. And this is, let me put the units in here just for fun. That's meters per second, the whole thing squared. This is 80 meters, right? And then we can calculate. 24 squared divided by 80. That's 7.2. And the units are meters squared per second squared divided by meters. Yeah? What is that? What are those units? What are those units? They are meters per second squared. Is that what acceleration is in? Yeah. Yay, right? If we're accelerating sideways like that, and that's what it is, right? This is called centripetal acceleration. Now, how many car heads are there in here? How many people like sports cars, read about them, etc., talk about performance? 0 to 60 is one of the stats for a sports car. But what is lateral G's? When they say lateral G's, what are they talking about? What's a lateral pass in football? It's to the side, and it has to be by definition backwards, because if it's forward, right, it can't. It's illegal, right? But it's a sideways pass, yes? Isn't that right? Yes? What is the latissimus dorsi, right? Is a muscle on your side. Lateral means side, yes, didn't it? Quadrilateral, right? So lateral acceleration means acceleration to the side. Aren't we talking about going around a corner? Yeah. Most econo boxes, like my little Prius or something like that, that's not supposedly a sports car, most of them can pull about 0.8 Gs, right? Sports cars like a BMW, like a Ferrari, something like that, that's like 0.9 Gs to 1 G with good tires, good surface, right? They'll pull almost a whole G of acceleration. This one, if I want to figure it out in Gs, right, I'm going to divide by 9.8. You don't do this generally. This is not the normal thing to do with accelerations. I'm just doing it for fun here, right? This is about 0.73 Gs, right? So this is close to, but not in excess of the limit that like an ordinary car, an ordinary economy car could do with a nice McPherson strut suspension. Yes, there we go, you're famous, right? The McPherson strut suspension is the one that lets the wheels move up and down but keeps the bottom of the wheel in contact with the ground. Now what was there before that? Do we know? Does anybody have an old Volkswagen Beetle? No, old Volkswagen Beetles are not performance cars. The old ones are not. Okay? They had a suspension that when they went around the corner, the wheel would tend to buckle under like that, right? And so you'd be holding the corner, and then suddenly the car would actually do a little flip and fly through the air upside down, right? Right? It would tighten into the curve, and it would have very bad handling, right? And so a friend of mine actually went around a corner. There's a part in Highway C. Here's the deal, right? If you lived in that area, the high school, here's Highway 86, here's Highway 13. Here is Prentice, which is at the corner of Highway 8, and this is Highway 8, this is Highway 13, right? Here's Prentice, the town of Prentice. That's where the high school is. My friend lived here. Normally, you would just go this way and this way, but it was a little faster to go on Highway C, which went like this. Right? Yeah, kind of a thing, right? You know? Okay. So when he was in high school, I was in college and had my first car, right? He was a senior in high school. He had this Volkswagen Beetle, and that road, they paved it with fresh asphalt. They banked the corners and they painted the lines. Every 16 to 25-year-old male was driving on that road at night. Every night at nightfall, you'd be out driving. Because at night, you can see where their cars are coming and use a little more of the road than you might otherwise, yeah? You know what I'm saying? Are you picturing this? We're just out there going through the gears. I got my Volkswagen Rabbit, right? He's got his Beetle, and he comes around, and there's a part of the road that very unfortunately goes boom, boom, like this, right? It's one of those can-be corners, right? Okay. By the way, one of my cousins lives here, right? He comes down here. We always called it Bill Stein's corner, right? You have to slow down. Well, he went around that corner a little too fast, drifted off the road, right? And then when he hit the tall grass, or when he hit the edge of the gravel, his car flipped upside down. He slid through the short grass on his roof, right? And then when he hit the tall grass, the car flipped over, but it's swampy there. He couldn't get out, right? So he walks over to my cousin's house. My cousin gets the tractor, pulls him back on the road, right? His car, from flipping over, sliding 20 feet and flipping back on its wheels, has a little scratch on the roof and the rain gutter's bent, right? It's a little funny to have a scratch on your roof and have the rain gutter bent, isn't that? Right? So you better tell the parents. Shouldn't you tell the parents? This is the private conversation, right? You're 18 years old, you tell your parents, you know, I went a little too fast, I flipped the car over, I slid for 20 feet on the roof, and, you know, all this stuff, right? I don't know what you say, right? Okay, so my friend had a younger brother who was like in 4th grade, right? Now, older brother's having a serious conversation with the parents. Where are you in 4th grade?
Listening.
You're listening. You're down the stairs and you're listening. You know everything that's going on. What happens the next day? Well, you get to tour the newspaper. Yeah? You get to tour the Phillips Bee or the Prentice Bee. Yeah? And guess what? Every kid got to write an article for the newspaper. Guess what Mikey wrote about? Guess what? My brother was going too fast in his car around Bill Stein's corner, and he flipped the car over, and the car slid on its roof for 20 feet, and then when he hit the tall grass, it flipped over, but it was in the swamp, and so Bill Stein had to pull him out. Yeah? Yeah. Honest to God, in the newspaper, right? My friend is working in Ogama. Ogama is like here, right? It used to be here. I don't know. It's sort of like Soda Springs or something like that, right? It's kind of gone.